Alright, hello and welcome back to Rational Magic. Jumping into another best of one Zendikar Rising draft. A little bit of a different perspective today, using the other monitor. A little weird for me, but let me know how it is if you prefer this or the old format in the comments. I always want to look over at my other screen, so it's going to be a bit strange, but a little more in line with the camera. Should be alright. Another full art forest. Those classic Zendikar lands, so beautiful. And no time at all. Man, did these drafts fill up quickly. Did they ever? Confounded Conundrum, enters battlefield, draw a card, whatever land enters battlefield under opponent's control. If that player had another land enter the battlefield. Okay, so it prevents people from ramping. Pretty weak, rare in the pack. Blood Beckoning. Solid card, Deadly Alliance, 5-mana kill spell at instant speed, discounts itself for every member of your party. Any other standout cards? Tazim Raptor lets you bounce lands. Bobble Snare is actually quite good. Highly pickable card, but this is actually a really weak pack. I think Blood Beckoning and Bobble Snare are competing for the number 2 choice, and then probably, honestly, Malkyr of Rebirth is pretty close in line with both those picks, but picking up a premium removal for the first pick in black is fine. Not an exciting pack overall. Not much to talk about. Merfolk, a Wind Robber. 1/1 flyer, enters, deals combat damage to a player. That player mills a card, sacrifice it to draw a card. Pretty great rogue. It's nice to have early party matters cards. Thundering Spark Mage. 4-mana 2/2 comes down and deals damage equal to the number of creatures in your party. Got the Risen Riptide Wall. The Kicker Synergy card. Cleric of Chilling Depths is a really nice just cleric to have on 2 mana. Again, filling out party matters. Mind Drain has performed quite admirably. But I'll take the quality 1-mana rogue in blue. Pairs nicely with black. And if you can make the Rogue Matters theme pull its, get all the pieces together, it really pulls its weight. It's very strong in the format. Passing on to Thunder Spark Mage, maybe even a little bit better than Wind Robber, but I'll take a card that's more in line with my starting picks. Coveted Prize, 5 mana. Costs 1 less for each creature in a party. Search your library for a card, put it into your hand. So this is a kind of a weak tutor that requires you to jump through hoops to get at a competitive cost. Blood Price is fine. Expedition Skulker is a 2-mana rogue, gains Death Touch. Subtle Strike actually has performed admirably and is kind of a weak second pickup. 3-mana 3/2 Human Wizard in blue. Again, pretty weak pack. Blood Price is fine. Spoils Adventure is probably the better card here. But a gold card that doesn't fall in line with any of my previous picks is a little bit difficult to make work in the deck. Honestly, it's between Skulker and Subtle Strike, which are both have performed quite admirably. But Subtle Strike just lets you win combats pretty effectively. Malkyr Blood Priest, I like in the Cleric deck and in non-Cleric decks, just being an off-color Party Matters theme. Relic Axe. Equipment that is centered around warriors. Canopy Ballast performs quite well. Very often swings in as a 6/5. And on 4 mana, that's quite competitive. And Black-Green is a deck. But I'll take a strong card that is on color. Seeing the Cleric in white, Rabid Bite in green, so definitely good green and good white cards making their way around the table. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand for 3 mana. Yeah, really good green actually. Anti-Cognition, Seafloor Stalker? Seafood Stalker. So this is a little bit tough. 1-mana Cleric in white, 2 very good green spells. Man. Rapid Bite, maybe black-green is open. 1 mana, put a +1 counter. Just a dual-purpose land. Mind Drain. Dauntless Survivor puts +1 counter on something, which is kind of what you want to be doing. Skyclave Sentinel, actually, if you end up in green in the +1 counter deck, Skyclave Sentinels do a lot of work, but Mind Drain also right here. And Mind Drain is just performed so well. Performed so well as a card. I'll actually take it above possible powerful green cards. And keep my second color a little bit open. Bauble Snare, going late. Cleric of Depths. Very fine playable early in the game. Another Sentinel and another Dauntless. So a little more reinforcement that green +1 counters is open, but Bauble Snare is a card that just gets passed far too often. It's a fantastic spell. Fantastic spell in blue. Strength of Solidarity. 1/1 Death Touch Elf is actually very solid. Turn Timber Ascetic, 5 mana, 5/4, gains you life. Fine playable. Skyclave Sentinel can do work, but I think the 1 mana Death Touch creature that has huge synergy with Rapid Bite is just fantastic. Dancer can sometimes kill off a weak creature. Adventure Awaits, playable in green. +1 synergy, Skyclave probably doesn't make the deck, but can be very good in the right situation. Cleric, so a couple good cards here. Risen Riptide in the kicker deck is very, very strong, but it also means moving away from black. Whereas Cleric of Depths is just a good, very playable 2-drop in blue. And Blood Price, I consider a playable card. I'm going to sideboard a couple of these black cards that could find their way into the deck later. And 1 mana Equipment gives flying, has some synergies in the format. Disenchant. And finally, Broken Wings. I do think it's a playable card in the main deck. There's enough strong flyers. Everyone's playing the Shepherd. Instant, put any number of cards from your hand at the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. A little bit underwhelming. Lull Mage's Domination is a fantastic control spell in blue. Cinderclasm will often wipe the board. Kind of a weak pack here. Territorial Sigh the Cat. It's a very strong card. Landfall, put a +1 counter on it. And again, really weak pack, pretty weak rare, not very exciting. I think Lull Mage's Domination probably the strongest card here, but if I do end up pivoting into green, I'm going to be very sad to pass up on the Scythe Cat. But really strong blue picks overall, and I'm going to look to make that deck function. Acquisition Expert lets you remove cards from your opponent's hand. Your opponent has to reveal cards equal to the number of party members that you control. Much better in the late game, but still a strong card. Even just removing your opponent's worst card. It's generally a good play. Jiraga Visionary. Really strong green card. And Umara Wizard. 4/3, whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard, he gains flying. Attached to a land. I love that card. Marasa Root Gazer, very strong in the green-white deck. Nimana Skydancer has kind of gone down in my pick order. Seafloor Stalker is actually a very strong common. You can often pump him and give him give him unblockable. Royal Eruption, probably the best common in red. But I'm pretty happy to pick up the Uma Wizard. I think it's a very good card. Bauble Snare going around. Roost of Drakes, so another Kicker Matters card, which are not really in that deck. But nor have I seen a lot of good rogue payoffs. So 1-mana enchantment, when you kick a card, creates a 2/2 blue drake with flying. You can spend it for 3. So kick it for 3 for a total of 4 mana. To create the 2/2 when it enters battlefield. Very strong. guess Bauble Snare has some kicker synergy. It's honestly debatable which card is better here between the two, but I think Bauble Snare is just more consistent. And fantastic control spell in general. Seeing the blue-green 3-mana 2/4 taps for a mana. Squid and a Tazim Royal Mage kicks to return instant or sorcery from a graveyard to your hand. Quite fond of this card. Squid is powerful, but it doesn't meet parity matters, and that is always a detriment in a format like this. Amara Wizard, so closing in on this black-blue. Kind of a mixed bag. Not a very highly consistent synergy in the deck, but quite powerful. Colonial kicker synergy size. So yeah, here we're seeing really powerful green. Whenever you cast an instant, sorcery, or wizard, put a charge counter on it, which I'm building up a lot of synergy with. But I'll take the green kicker card. I have very little intention of actually being in green, but it's easily a stronger card in that pack. And I think this just always happens in this set in Zendikar, where you end up fighting people for rogue tribal cards. It's just extremely popular. Extremely popular at the table. I'll take the Sea Floor Stalker over a Zulaport Duelist. I don't really have many cards that are going to enable Lull Mage domination. Kind of the opposite, really. And Roost of Drakes making it all the way around the table. Seagate Colossus is actually legit. But Roost of Drakes, quite a competitive card. That's pushing one particular strategy. So this might just be a splash black deck. And my attempts to make blue-black work really just didn't come to fruition. 4-mana rare, you can kick it for 3. Enters the battlefield with a +1 counter on it for each non-basic land your opponent's control. Becomes a target of a spell, sacrifice it, create a number of 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens equal to its power. When an opponent targets it with anything, it dies and creates 4 1/1s. Okay, it seems like an anti-synergy card. There's nothing too amazing that I'm passing up on in order to play this card, but it probably makes the deck almost no matter what. Cleric of Life's Bond, the best cleric. Whenever you cast another cleric, gain a life. Whenever you gain life, put a +1 counter on him. I'm pretty close to having enough synergy to make the Relic Amulet work. Another 1-mana 1/1 Death Touch in green, which kind of means I just end up pushing green really hard if I keep making these picks. God damn. Acquisitions Expert, fantastic. Black card. I might just be in 3 color with no fixing at this point in the draft. Getting massively mixed messages. Fight spell attached to a land in green, but feed the swarm, 2-mana kill spell in black. Wow. I mean, this is just premium. Even better than Feed the Swarm. This is just a fantastic card. First pickable card for sure. And Blood Beckoning in black, both the only strong playable here. Veteran Adventure. 6-mana 5/5 Vigilance that discounts itself with a Party Matters mechanic. Definitely looking like a splash black style of deck. Might of Medusa does kick itself, and I do have kick synergy cards in my deck. Not a bad combat trick. Landfall, gain a life. Skyclave Plunder is actually a really excellent... Oh my god. I hate this client. Skyclave Plunder. Look at the top X cards of your library. X is 3 plus the number of members in your party. Pick 3. So you end up looking at like 5 to 6 cards on the top of your library and picking 3, which is kind of amazing. Another Cleric. Into the Royalist is actually a very playable card. I don't know how many wizards I have. I don't think I have a lot. Not enough to push Relic Amulet, but Into the Royal is actually very playable, as is the Glacial Grasp, but another Might. This is actually a tough choice. All of these are quite playable. All of these are quite playable. And that third last pickup, if I can find it. Nisa's Zendikar is kind of a cheeky way to end up getting your non-basic lands back into your hand. Pretty much just says when they die. So it turns a land into a 4/4. When that card dies, it returns the land to your hand. So some pretty powerful stuff. There's a lot of really strong black cards that I'd rather not cut from the deck that are kind of going to be cut anyway. I think I'm splashing back for black for double Acquisitions Experts. And then keeping in a lot of the Party Matters cards. And I'll start separating out spells. So black splashed for Deadly Alliance, double Acquisitions Expert. I don't know that Lull Mage's Domination is massively playable in this deck. But I am lacking in the high end of my curve. I'm also lacking mid-game. I don't have really 3-drops to the deck. Yeah, this just ended up being a little bit of a confused identity. I was sort of aware that green was very open in the draft. And I should have pivoted earlier, but then I kept seeing things like Acquisitions Experts being passed around the table. The rare slot was really weak in 2 of those packs. I just saw kind of garbage. But I ended up with 2, I think there's 3. Where's the other one? There should be another blue. I could have sworn I ended up with double Umara Skyfalls. Let's find out if I'm blind. Blind or crazy, one of the two. Slowly losing my sanity. Oh, there's 2. So I can just never see the white because it just blends in so well. So I have 3 non-basic lands here attached to premium cards, and that does make up my late game. This actually means I have what are essentially 5/4 flyers a lot of the time late into the curve. It's actually a lot of good late game. So I have 2 blue non-basic, 1 green. And the the auto land mechanic does not count these non-basic lands. And I know a lot of streamers and just vocal professionals will run like 19 to 20 lands in the deck. But I actually don't like that strategy. What I find ends up happening is you get screwed on lands when you run 20 lands in a deck, just as like even more often than a 17 land deck, which is really one of the most painful things to happen. But if you run 17 lands, including your non-basic, you're very protected against flood. Very protected against flood. Other considerations are that I am a 3-color deck, so running more than standard number of lands is actually very beneficial. And I have a relatively late curve. So I think for those reasons, finding one more cut could actually be quite good. I'm running some weird spells here. This being a wizard makes it like much stronger. I'm running some strange spells. So I have the 1 mana enchantment, the Kicker Synergy card, which is honestly fine by itself when you kick it. The Roost of Drakes. To create 2/2 flyers anytime I kick something. Synergy with that. Mighty Medusa, the Gnarlid Colony. Tazim Royal Mage, so that's 3. The Myriad Construct. Which kind of sucks. It's just like very middle of the road playable. It's a fine card, but the text on the card of your opponent having non-basic is almost irrelevant. I suppose it works with things like the Umara Skyfalls, but usually people have like one of these in play and then bounce it later in the game to play it for value. So that's actually not bad. That's 4 Kicker Synergy cards to go along with my Roost of Drakes, which I think is strong enough by itself to be a playable card. I like Acquisitions Expert as a late game pick. And Deadly Alliance in this deck I think will actually do quite well. So the black feels justified to me. Get off these lands here. And there are even some powerful cards I'm not running in the deck that I wouldn't mind. Blood Beckoning I think is very good. Blood Priest works. Subtle Strike is very good. Mind Drain is very good. I didn't realize I picked up a Dreadworm, but definitely not playing that guy. A solid number of early game plays. My weakness in this deck is going to be flyers. And Lull Mage's Domination is actually a pretty great answer to flyers. But I do have, so 1, 2, 3, 4 removal spells in the deck, a little bit light. I would like to fit into the Royal somewhere in this deck. But there doesn't look like there's a convenient cut. Perhaps Mighty Medusa. Perhaps Wind Robber. End up being cut. So once again, 5, 10, 14, 17 lands to the deck. Sitting at 7 blue, 6 green, 4 black. I could stand to run one more land, but I think I'm going to pilot the deck as is for now, and then decide if something is a little bit too weak later in the game. to make a couple swaps. For potentially into the Royal. And a lot of good black cards, but I don't want to pile up on those. But yeah, Royal the only card that I'm kind of sad to pass up on, and I could do with one more land. 3 colors is pretty risky. Kind of a result of just not committing to the picking up on how open green was and how few good black cards would actually get past. Trying desperately to make black work. So 3-land opener. I don't have green, but I at least have... Well, no, I don't have early plays. These are the sort of conundrums you end up with in 3 colors. Blue, black, no green. But I have a Bulba Snare. Opponent goes first. I'm on the draw. I'm going to keep. And put down my tap land turn 1. I don't actually have a way to get lands back in my hand, which is a little bit unfortunate. There's the green. So a few options now. I could throw down my own Death Touch. I like this card later in the game, as it's more likely my opponent can just throw away a land. And I'll trade a 1/1 Death Touch for his 2/2 that will later gain Death Touch. Perfectly fine with that. And he has no plays to follow it up either. But it does mean I miss out on an Acquisitions Expert. He has no plays in hand. And I think I do just drop this card. It gives me a count on Lull Mage's domination. Fills up the party mechanic. And I have plays later in the game, so we take a land out of his hand. To be expected. Four mana, no plays. Very suspicious. Let's see if he counters me. No, he does not. Pretty solid kicker. I might want to wait until I draw my kicker synergy card before playing that. Tabari. Not doing a whole lot. I don't know, he's hit a land every single turn and played nothing. It's like he's just holding on to removal spells for no apparent reason. It's going to counter the wizard. No. It's going to kill the wizard. No. That's a really awkward use of Zareth. So he's just kind of planning on winning off of a bomb rare. One of the best rares in the set. Deals combat damage to a player. You may put target permanent card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Fucking insane. Excuse my language, but it's true. It is an absurdly insane card. I could Bauble Snare it, or I could just kill it for 3 mana. It's a little bit tough to say. But I don't like that Bauble Snare will give him the option of... There's lots of things you can do in blue, like bouncing the enchantment. The problem being if I spend black, I can't do anything else on this turn. And I could potentially steal it once I get more cards in his graveyard. So for the sake of having more playables. So Skitter and Mind Drain. Take Mind Drain out of his hand. Get rid of that nonsense. And I'm going to Bobble tap down the rare. And then leave it open a blocker for the 4-3. So despite that absolutely insane play, it's still looking pretty good. So this cost 3 blue and X to take control of a creature with CMC X. So I'm 1 blue short of being able to steal something. And we've just stalemated on board. I could not play Gnarled Colony. Enters the battlefield as a 4-4. So 1 more blue mana, I can steal something with CMC 4 or less. Another Bauble Snare is actually quite good. So if I tap, I need 3 mana to cast Deadly Alliance at instant speed. So if I kick Bauble Snare, I can't cast Deadly Alliance in the same turn. Which is a little bit awkward. Because he can always just double block. So yeah, I think having open mana to answer whatever trick he has planned is a lot better than just main phase kicking Bauble Snare. So he's going to minus power my guy. And then I can instant speed kill his dude. I do draw. Well, I drew off that anyway. Not as good of a use of that card as I would have hoped for, but still fine. 2 lands off the top is actually really nice. And I can steal something now. The opponent has 4 cards. They need 8 for this to be discounted. But if I take 2 turns to steal something, my attacks are quite a bit better. This is just a pretty sad use of Bauble Snare. But I have a bit of insurance. Taking a 3-4, that will gain Menace after 3 more cards going to the graveyard. I don't really like slow rolling this. X is 4. Now he could double block me. I'm kind of okay with that. I would like to get in for damage, and I definitely don't want to Bauble Snare his 3-4. Ouch. Extremely strong card. What is he getting back? Ooh, that's pretty sweet. So, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. I can't play both of these unless I 1 mana the Bauble Snare. So I'll play defensively this turn, and then next turn go on the aggression. Assuming his top decks aren't better than mine. Holding cards in hand. So yeah, his blocks are pretty good with that card up. I'll just kick Bauble Snare. Take out the 3/4. And now all of my attacks are good. That was kind of the least bad thing that could have happened. So I get to trade his creature for an extremely powerful card. This is kind of the trap of Zulaport Cutthroat. It's just not nearly as good of a card. Unless you have serious synergies to go along with it. Flashes in a 2/1, gonna mill me a couple more cards. Still not a good blocker. Yep. And I would have been able to kick the Myriad on the following turn. So pretty easy start to the draft. Not a whole lot going on in that deck. He had some powerful cards, but he was overcommitted on less effective 1-drops. And always nice to start out with a win. The goal, of course, to break even on draft and bring more videos to you, my loving and adoring fans. There are so many of you. So many. Abracadabra. All right. Solid. So triple blue opening hurts, but I also have nothing but blue cards in hand and a really solid curve. And I go first. So I'm on the game plan of milling my opponent. I have lots of ways to get in for damage. And the Party Matters synergy is quite hard. Quite consistent. So once they have 8 or more cards in their graveyard, I can sack this to draw a card. So it will replace itself. Exactly what you want in a 1-drop. When the Cleric of Chill Depths blocks something, it gets sticky tapped. And not super worried about the opponent flashing in something. So despite not hitting green or blue, very solid opening hand. I can spend Mind Drain. Really good card. Played at the opportune moment. This cost, so it's discounted by 1. Costs 1 less to activate for each creature in your party, so it's discounted by 2. So currently I can spend 3 mana to pump this guy. And I got nothing else to do. So I'll go for the damage. And hope that I can close out this game. It's really hard to win when someone has an on-curve Mind Drain and has this much card advantage. Hitting all 3 land types. Blue, black, red. He probably has quite a high amount of removal, as he's in 2 of the highest removal colors. Fight spell, but also green mana. He's going to have to play that tapped. I got nothing to do aggressively this turn, so I'm actually going to, well, spending the mana pre-blocks is not great. But now that I know what my opponent is doing, I should be able to activate his ability. It's only going to let me attack with it and not activate the ability. Hold control, 3 attacks. Activate, unblockable. Autopay. Okay. Get in for 3 damage and give him pretty bad blocks. 5 cards in the grave. And get that green land down. Pretty valuable card to put down. As a land, it is a kill spell. Five mana. 5 mana does nothing. I don't have instant speed interaction. Where's that kill spell? There we go. So 5 mana to deal 4 damage. Pretty... not a play you like to make as the opponent. And I will drop the forest. I'm really weak to a second Mind Drain, but I don't know how many people double up in that card. I don't really think you should. Make sure I get that name right. Mind Drain. Still trying to race me. We have 3, 4, 5 damage next turn. So he's going to bounce something. My card draw? That's a weak bounce. That's a weak bounce. So I could just trade 3/2s. And then get down my own competitive creature, which I actually like a lot. I'm pretty happy with that. Using Bobble Snare in this fashion is pretty weak, but it also guarantees I can get damage in the air. So this gets targeted with anything, it dies and creates 4 1/1s. And that is the power of Bobble Snare, where you can play like an aggressive 4-drop and then 1 mana permatap something. It's insane. It's an insanely good play. So I believe I can't fight with this. Becomes a target of a spell. Yeah, if I try to fight this, it gets sacked. If I try to fight with it, it gets sacked. Something to watch out for. I keep calling Rabid Bite a fight spell. But if I target my own Myriad with Rabid Bite, the creature will die. If he has an answer to the Merfolk, I can just sack it to draw a card, which is really nice. Swing for lethal. Deadly Alliance. Create 4 1/1s. Really amazing. And beautiful draw of the Veteran Adventurer, 5/5 Vigilance, discounted by 2. So this was a 4 mana 5/5 Vigilance, really amazing. Really solid. Could you hear my tummy there? My mic is actually really loud. It's in the red. I should be turning this down. I'm just like positioned much closer to the microphone. So, sorry folks, but if the volume was way too loud, now it should be at reasonable levels. Blood Thief's Thirst. Activate ability. Draw a card. You just lost premium removal. This card's so amazing. It's essentially Fatal Push at uncommon. Kind of an insane card. Rank up. Oh my god, gold tier 1. I'm the best. I'm the best, guys. And I got taller. Look at that. How did I get taller? Nothing has changed. Okay. Doing okay. I'm growing. I'm growing as a player. Incredible. I think comfort level with Zendikar as a set has drastically improved my win rate. It was pretty rough, like the first few tries at this, and getting like knowing when the party mechanic matters and when it's not actually going to improve your deck building is not super clear, and I just think takes experience with the set more than it does like a high level of skill. I'll probably keep on 2 lands with a playable and a combat trick. On the draw, it's much more acceptable to keep. And Cleric into Acquisitions Expert is actually very strong. Mono white. What am I saying? I can't play Cleric. So the question is between taking the worst card out of his hand, which is probably a land, or developing a 2-2 that can be something relevant later. I like having the 1-2 blocker. It just makes combat really nice. Let's see the worst card in your hand. What is it? Show me. Show me the goods. Theodore. Oh wow, it's actually a really good card. Guess he has no blue mana. Never mind. What? What's your play? What's your amazing play that you gave up Seafloor Stalker? Field research. Okay. 0 tempo play. Thank you. Thankfully, he's not doing a lot, considering I have a very slow turn. Lull Mage Domination, pretty horribly dead card right now. That's not good. I suppose I have the ultimate protection of a 1-1 Death Touch. And yeah, I'm just hurting on those land drops. And I don't really want to play this as a 2-2. It pretty much does nothing for the game. Does nothing for the game. So I was mistaken earlier. Nisa Zendikar is my one way to get back a land. And he's starting to really... Whoa, my tummy. Put on the pressure. My tummy is loud. That digestion. Yeah, I'm gonna die pretty soon. Without an extreme play. Getting punished for my 2-land keep. The percentages of being on the draw. Okay. Of being on the draw and then the rate that you should hit lands is much higher than my own personal experience. I should expect a play like this. So 4 mana bounce something, he kicked, so he gets 5/5 and scries. It's pretty weak to be kicking a 1/1 Death Touch, but because I'm putting on absolutely 0 pressure, it's actually a very strong play. Taking 9 damage this turn. Go, 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 go. No blocks. I am half dead. He curved out well. I mean, technically it's a play. Kill off his 4/4 flyer in the cheapest way possible. And we're back to board parity, despite me having a full hand of nothing. 7 lands to 3. He's gonna start kicking out all the flyers. Pretty painful for me. I don't really have a way to deal with flyers. He's floating a single black mana. Why is he floating black mana? And how? Off of Stonework Patch Beast. Yeah, that's fine, dude. Use your combat trick. No? Okay. That's the best value I could have possibly hoped for out of that card. Getting in the game, still not good for me. But slowly bringing my way back into this game. The Death Touch is honestly doing so much work for me right now. I would be in a horrible spot if not for that 1 mana 1/1. Bobble Snare for 4. Kicks, gets 2/2 and 5/5. That's 7 damage. Got my own roost. So I can put... No, I can't. I have to tap this. It's still a land. That's going to be game. That is most certainly game. Three lands to 8. Which is the argument for running more than the basic number of lands in your deck. But 1 game in 3, not hitting optimum lands is okay. Glacial Grasp is probably one of the weaker cards, but honestly, like, it cantrips, it taps something down, it's instant speed. It's definitely not hurting the deck having that card there. I could run a Broken Wings. Like, considering how much flying there is in the game. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Yeah, I actually think Broken Wings is has enough targets to be legit. I could run into the Royal over something.